Hello, hello, and welcome to today's Marketing Monday. Today we are talking about emotions because not to talk about AI, but we can't not talk about AI, right? So people like to talk about AI, so I'm going to do it. And I'm not anti-AI. I am anti using AI for everything, especially when it comes to your content. I am anti using something like ChatGPT to write your content for you and then just copy and paste. I do love using it to brainstorm ideas, to help get over writer's block. I've used it myself for that. And I also like using it for what I call the boring parts of content, right? The list of 3 reasons to do such and 5 ways you can do XYZ, right? It's the factual, just the facts, right? It's great. It's great at data analysis. There we go. Great at data analysis. Great at taking a bunch of information and organizing it for you. I love using it for that. It is really bad at emotions. It is really bad at telling a story, especially a story that makes sense to humans, right? I think it makes sense to the robot. It's like, this makes sense, right? And we're like, what? No. And it's really, really bad at calls to action. The problem with that is those are the most important parts of your content. Yes, people want the information. Yes, they want the how-to and the listicles. Yes, we click on all of those. But it's the emotions. It's the story that taps into the emotions. It's the call to action that effectively uses emotions to convince you to take that next step in the buyer journey. That is what is going to have an impact on your bottom line. And that is what robots are not good at. That is what humans are good at. So let's get into the how-to of it all. I am going to give you a list of emotions that you can tap into, as well as some examples of how you can use those emotions and tap into them in your marketing content, so that that your marketing content can be as impactful as possible, can really be effective at engaging and converting those leads, so that you can then get at least higher quality leads, warm leads, if not, hopefully, right, clients. That's the end game, is getting your bottom line solid. So we're going to start with the positive emotions because that's easiest, right? Everyone loves targeting the positive emotions. We are also largely motivated by positive emotions. Our brains are wired to seek out reward and avoid punishment. So it can feel like they're getting punished when you focus on those negative emotions. Again, logically, they know you're not actually punishing them. But our lizard brains, the amygdala right there trying to keep us safe, has no idea. Feels the exact same way when you threaten them with a lawsuit as it does when there's a lion charging towards us. Exact same chemical reaction in our brain. So we are going to talk about that and how to mitigate that, but we're also going to talk about joy and happiness to start off with, right? Again, we are creatures where we like to seek out reward. So if you can make us feel joy, if you can make us feel happy, and again, associate that with the service you provide, the product you're selling, associate it with your brand in particular, absolutely do that. The example I like to use is, for example, I was going grocery shopping over the weekend. That's one of the things I do over the weekend is I go grocery shopping. I meal plan, figure out what I'm going to make, go get the stuff to make it. I actually really like grocery shopping because I love food and I love cooking and baking. And I love that while I'm collecting the ingredients, I get to go, oh man, I'm going to make this recipe. I'm going to try something new. It's going to be delicious. I'm so excited to try this. I also get inspired, right? I go out and I find something and I may not have used that ingredient before, but you know what? I could mix it with such and such, or then I could use this in my side, or I could do something else instead. And oh, that's right, I need such and such to make this other thing. I love grocery shopping. Groceries are really good at using joy, contentment, feelings of comfort and security, because what do we see when we see advertisements for grocery stores, grocery brands? Any Pillsbury is great at this, right? The Pillsbury Doughboy is always on a little boy on a table, a family table, right? Not out at a restaurant. It's a family table with a family sitting down to eat, right? Usually a cute little kid interacting with the Pillsbury Doughboy. because it wants to associate Pillsbury. It wants us to associate that brand with the feeling of sitting down with a family for a good homemade meal, even if homemade means, rolling up the rolls and throwing them in the oven. It wants to create that association. It's a good feeling. We feel warm and fuzzy. We feel very happy with that feeling and those associations. It does not show a stressed out, harried mom with children screaming at her while she's just trying to finish making dinner. It does not show an aspiring chef pulling a blackened chicken out of the oven, right? With smoke pouring out and maybe someone running in with a fire extinguisher. It's not going to show that. The ones that will show that are companies like DoorDash and Uber Eats that are like, let us make dinner for you. Actually, I think that's their tagline, or close to it, is like, well, we'll handle dinner. You do what you do best. You handle the kids. You handle whatever it is. You don't light your house on fire. We'll bring you a good hot meal delivered to your door, right? So they're going to start with that harried, stressed out emotion, but they're going to end on, again, people sitting down. Again, and it's usually people together. It's not what the reality usually is, which is a person alone in their apartment sitting in front of the television, right? It's a couple sitting down to a meal together. It's family sitting down to a meal together, because it wants us to associate those good feelings of joy and happiness and family and comfort and togetherness with their brand. So that's first and foremost. Contentment and relief are a good one, right? So this isn't as powerful as joy, happiness. It's not exuberant. It's more of a low level. Again, comfort, contentment. It's a little harder to target. So what you usually see, especially with relief, is you see it paired with a negative emotion. Something like fear. Home alarm systems do this all the time, right? The fear of a home invasion. Worst case scenario, someone is stealing your. Best case scenario is someone is stealing your stuff when you're not around. Worst case scenario is you and your family are in danger, right? That is everyone's worst nightmare. We all fear that. So it's going to tap into that fear, and then, it's okay because there's this alarm. It's scaring off the intruder. It's calling the police for you. You're safe. So it started with the negative emotion, but then brought it back to safety. We get that feeling of relief. We get that feeling of contentment and safety. So you absolutely can target it, but usually only after pairing it. And because it's been paired with a negative emotion, even though it's normally kind of a low level happy emotion, contentment, relief, it's going to feel more powerful after being followed by a negative emotion, because suddenly our baseline just got a lot lower. So if you can bring us up to here, it feels as good as if we were up here because we just came from down here, right? Pride and accomplishment are good, right? Another of my recent purchases was putting air in the tires of my car, which is not exciting and not something I look forward to doing or spending money on. But I feel proud of myself for doing it. I feel accomplished. I feel like, hey, I'm taking good care of my car. I am a responsible driver / car owner. My car is now operating more efficiently. It's more fuel efficient. It's safer, especially here in Chicago, right? I did not love putting air in my tires in the freezing cold that we have been having these days, but I feel that sense of pride and accomplishment. I am a good car owner, a good citizen, helping keep myself and those on the road around me safer. You can absolutely tap into those. We see car makers like Ford tap into patriotism, the pride of being an American, because they're American-made cars. They tap into that all the time. Sports teams also love to do this. Show your pride in your team by buying jerseys, caps, whatever it is that they can sell you. They will sell it to you so that you get to broadcast your pride in your team to everyone who sees it. Next up is hope. Hope is super powerful. Few things are more powerful than hope. And this is another one that's usually best paired with a negative emotion, right? Because first of all, you need people to be in a bad place. So let them understand, yes, we understand you're in a bad place. We get it. We're here for you, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Humans will go through a lot of suffering to get to that light at the end of the tunnel. Since the second season of Squid Games was recently released, that's an excellent example of people going through a lot, including putting their lives in danger for the hope of this giant cash prize, right? Even though statistically, most of them are going to die. Um, they're willing to hold out for that hope. Gamblers are inveterate, hopeless optimists, right? Because they are constantly hoping for the next big thing, the next roll in the dice that goes their favor, or a flip of the card, or whatever it is. So you see casinos and lotteries targeting hope very effectively, because everyone wants to believe that their financial situation can change for the better overnight. The other one that targets this really effectively actually is antidepressant medications and anti-anxiety medications, because again, you are tapping into things are hard for you right now. We get it. We get that it's hard. You want to tap into that feeling of anxiety or depression, how hard it is just to get through the day when you're struggling with that, but then offer them a better tomorrow. And again, I think that's actually a tagline for one of those companies is we provide you a better tomorrow, right? And that's when you get at the end of the commercial, they're walking through a beautiful sunlit field with flowers and little kids and puppies and maybe holding someone's hand, and they're always smiling, right? They always look very happy. You are offering them that hope. Next up, humor. Everyone loves to laugh, and boy, do we love the people who make us laugh. Our pets are a great example, right? My dog makes me laugh all the time, usually unintentionally. She's just being her usual happy self. But I know that makes the love and affection I feel for her so much stronger when she makes me laugh. The trick here is that humor can easily just completely dominate your message to the point where people don't actually remember you or your brand or what it is you're selling. How many of us have heard someone relay a commercial that they saw? It was hilarious. It was a great story. It had this huge celebrity that they love, right? They tell you all about the commercial except what it is for. And they can't remember. They're like, oh yeah, I saw this great commercial. Can't remember what it was selling, but it was a great commercial. I loved it. Don't be that brand. The way to avoid that is to make your brand integral to the story. Make it integral to the joke. It can be, obviously you don't want to be the punchline of the joke, but you do want to end not just with your brand. Oh, by the way, here's our brand now that we've made you laugh. You want to make your brand part of the story that is making people laugh. I think Progressive does a great job of this, right? All of their commercials tell a good story. A lot of them make us laugh. We never forget that it's a Progressive commercial ever. And part of that is not only their storytelling and Progressive and their branding and everything everywhere, but they actually now have these Progressive characters. So when we see Flo, we all know who Flo is. We all know what she's there for. We can all tell a story about Flo, and it might make us laugh. Or it might annoy you, depending, right? But you're gonna remember what she was there to sell. So always make your brand a huge integral part of the story and of the joke. Negative emotions, these can be harder, so tread lightly with these. Fear and anxiety is a good one that I did briefly mention. And again, remember, we are trained to run away from things that scare us. I had a conversation once with a friend where she was trying to explain to someone the importance of having their website ADA compliant, Americans with Disabilities Act compliant. And the fact that if it's not compliant, she can get sued. And it doesn't matter that she's a smaller company. It doesn't matter if she's a solopreneur. That actually makes her more of a target for law firms that go out and target these companies. This person got so scared, she was ready to just end the call and run away and not actually solve the problem, because fear does tend to, again, shut down. We just want to run away. We're not even thinking about solving the problem. We just want to get away from it. If we can get off this call, if we can end this conversation, we're not talking about this anymore. We're not thinking about it. As far as our lizard brains are concerned, does not exist. We got rid of the raging lion. It ran right past us. We're safe. So you have to pair fear and anxiety with that. Here's the light at the end of the tunnel. Here's what it can look like instead. Again, a good example of this is those home alarm system companies, right? They start with the fear and the anxiety, the thing that keeps us all up at night, right? But then they pair it with, it's okay because we've got you. They make sure that they have that happy ending, and they are paired with that happy ending. You do not forget that their brand, their product they are selling is a direct contributor to that happy ending. So yes, you can target fear and anxiety in your content. Just tread carefully. Sadness is another one because that it can be useful. Super important to tread carefully here because we can very easily get overwhelmed and go into despair. And when we're in a state of despair, we can't do anything. It doesn't matter. We're hopeless. And then we just don't do anything. So you can use it, but tread carefully. Charities are really good about this in that they zero in on one. Again, if it's like a pet, a charity that helps animals or helps, starving, abandoned, poor, neglected, abused, whatever, children or animals, it zeroes in on one child, on one pet. Instead of look at all these children, look at all these pets, because we all know, again, logically, we know there's no way we can save all the children or all the animals in the world. It's not possible. So when you focus on that, when you focus on all of the children or all of the animals that need help, we just shut down. So instead, you'll see these charities focus on one. That's why when you donate, they send you a picture and tell you a little story about one child or one animal that your donation is helping to save. So you feel that personal connection with the one child or the one animal that you are helping to save. The famous Sarah McLachlan video for pets that have been abused and how they're rescuing them and helping them to rehabilitate and get adopted, right? That commercial does a great job of alternating photos and videos of animals looking very pitiful. They have one eye, they have 3 legs, they look very sad, they can't walk right. It's awful. But then it's paired with Sarah McLachlan sitting on a couch with her dog right next to her, clearly very happy and comfortable. And then it's also paired with other images of these rescuers working with these animals and cuddling with them and kissing them and helping them. So you get a sense of the hope with yes, this is a sad thing. Yes, it's terrible that people do this, but there are also these good things that people do, and you can help them do those good things. So just like fear and anxiety, you can target sadness, but I do recommend pairing it with, again, hope. Hope is a really good one to pair with sadness. Anger, I debated even including this just because it's really hard to harness this emotion effectively. And I cannot think of an example where anger has been used effectively in any kind of marketing content. On the other hand, anger is very motivating. When we are when we are riled up about something, we are very motivated to do something about this, especially if we feel that there's some sort of injustice, whether it's an injustice against us personally or someone we know personally or a group of people that we feel should not be treated unjustly, right? We are very motivated to get up in arms, sometimes literally, hopefully figuratively, to fight this wrong. So on the other hand, people talk about seeing red when they get angry, right? It does tend to shut down a lot of our reason and our ability to think through things. It definitely hinders our ability to think clearly. There's a reason the word mad has been used to refer to both anger and insanity, right? They're very closely tied. So if you do decide to target anger, I would do so very carefully. And then in your call to action, make your call to action super urgent, right? Take action now, because the thing about, yes, anger is motivating. We are motivated to do something, but then that motivation tends to dissipate as quickly as the anger does. And everyone's different, right? Some people, especially, they get really worked up about something and then they stew on it forever and they just cannot let it go. Other people might be angry at something in the moment and then they switch to a different tab on their computer or watch a different video on YouTube. And that's it. They've already forgotten all about whatever they were angry about. So it's about knowing your audience and trying to tap into that anger while they are angry and get them to take action right away. So how we've talked about some of these things. We did talk a little bit about how to tap into emotions in your marketing content. I do have another video that I'm not going to go into it here. I talk about, what does Cinderella have to do with blogging and all about how to use that story arc in the Cinderella story, how you can incorporate that into your marketing content. So I'm not going to tell that here because, that's already on my blog. It's another video. You can go check that out. But that is something I like to use, is that story arc, because that really does a good job of tapping into people's emotions. Or you can hire me. And of course, you know where to reach me if you want to do that, if you want to further this conversation, if you want to ask me questions about emotions, about in marketing, storytelling in marketing, SEO in marketing, whatever. Always happy to chat. You can check out more content like this over at my website at AV, as in my initials, Allison Verhalen. That is avwritingservices.com. You can buy my book, Content Marketing Made Easy. That is on Amazon. And you can reach me directly via email at info@avwritingservices.com. That's it. Have a great week and happy blogging, everyone.